And here we go. Hi, everyone on the interwebs. We still give it a minute before we get started. Maybe we also do a little bit of check in the background. Maybe, Juliana, can you try to check on YouTube if it's already working?
Yep, I'll take a look.
Thanks, because I'm always afraid that if I do it, then I close some window and I mess things up. So let's try to get up and running.
Yeah, we are.
Today, actually, right? Yuri, you're from Brazil, or you're?
Yeah, I come from Brazil, but I live here in Germany. Yeah, since 2018. Yeah, almost two years.
Cool. That's really great. So we have Germany, Brazil, Austria here. That's perfect.
Yeah.
And we can see that, yeah, I think we are live on YouTube. A couple of folks can already see us and they have joined. Perfect. So we are pretty much on time. I know it might be late or early for a couple of you. So I guess we just get started. Stream is already up and running. So thanks everyone for joining and welcome to this edition of our Cloud Native Computing Linz meetup. We just have a couple of words in the beginning and then we'll jump right into the talks. So for the initial presentation, it will be Juliana and myself just walk you through a little bit of organizational parts. So let me just switch over to the slides. Here we go. Yeah, again, welcome everyone. We will have two presentations from three speakers today. First presentation will be by Malte. He will be talking about the KubeOne platform. And our second presentation, starting afterwards, around 6 p.m., we guess, will be Giuliano and Yuri talking about Kubernetes certifications, and will give us a little bit of tips and tricks, hopefully. Yeah, we'll just wrap it up afterwards, and we think about 7 p.m. We might end this meetup. If there are any questions or remarks during the meetup, please just reach out to us in the YouTube chat or on our Discord channel or Discord server. We will have the link just in a second for you. If you do so, and we are happy to have discussions, just be aware, we are following the Berlin Code of Conduct here. That basically means be nice to each other, no swearing, these kind of things. But we are really happy to engage with you and to have some discussions with you. The meetup is organized, as you might already know, from the previous editions by Giuliano and myself, Jürgen. And yeah, my job during the day is working for an open source project called Captain. I'm an evangelist, community lead for this project that was initiated by the company Dynatrace. This is also the company I'm working for. And if you want to reach out, my Twitter handle is also on this slide, and I will just hand it over briefly to Juliana.
Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining. I will not talk a lot about myself because otherwise you guys will get tired of me because the second presentation I'll be talking. So hi, I'm Giuliano. I'm a software engineer at Dynatrace, and that's my Twitter handle. But yeah, I can present myself better later on.
Okay.
Sorry, Yogurt, just one thing that I need to say. It's Movember edition, and that's why I have this cool mustache, and it's not fake, if you are wondering.
It looks really cool, so I should probably put you on full screen here. But we are also very thankful that we have Kubematic here, more or less on full screen. Because they are our streaming sponsor for this event. Thanks so much. They also provide the KubeOne platform, which we'll be hearing just in a second. Yeah, they are providing us the possibility to do this streaming service for you, since it's not yet allowed to go back to physical events. So yeah, we will do the streaming, and thanks so much for supporting us. Yeah, now we're coming to the part where it's all about the community. And if you want to also talk in our meetup, if you have something, some story to share, we would be really interested to hear the story. We have 2 links here. It's very easy to remember. It's CNCLinz-talk or CNCLinz-sponsor on tinyurl.com. It's just a very small Google form where you can reach out to us. You've also seen the Twitter handles, so you can also reach out to us directly on Twitter. By the way, we also have a Twitter page for the Cloud Native Computing Linz meetup. You can also find us there. But yeah, we are happy to hear from you, and we're really happy to give you the stage and present your story in this meetup. If you want to discuss, as said, please just put your questions and yeah, maybe just a little feedback on the talks in the YouTube chat. If you want to have more discussion, join us on the CNCLinz Discord channel. Link is also here, and we're happy to talk to you there as well. So with this, we have fabulous speakers today, and I'm already handing over to the first speaker, Malte, and I will ask you to do a little bit of introduction by yourself, and I will put you all back here. I think we also need some screen sharing by Malte, and then we can get started with the first talk.
Perfect. So thanks, Jürgen. Thanks, Giuliano, for the warm introduction. Before I'm starting, let me try to share my screen. So can you see my screen?
All good.
I think you can. Good. So welcome, everyone. So my name is Malte Menkhoff. I'm solution architect working at Kubematic, and we are really happy and proud to share this virtual meetup here. My job at Kubematic is to support customers in adopting and using Kubernetes in multi-cloud and multi-cluster setup. I have the pleasure today to present one of our solutions, which is called KubeOne, and I will mix my demo here. What you can see on the right side is just some shell scripts and some consoles, and on the left side a presentation. Don't be confused about the presentation, but as I'm gonna deploy a Kubernetes cluster with KubeOne, it takes some time on my public cloud to spin up the infrastructure into configuring the nodes. So when I'm starting, I'm using just a wrapper script, which is called demo.sh. Demo.sh is just something what I just prepared mostly this morning. And the main purpose of it is to make it easier for me to demo what is really needed. And to give you a short heads up and start is, I have demo code on GitHub, which I'm just cloning onto my local laptop. And KubeOne is a tool which is provider neutral and open source. So I will show you as well later on where you can find the code and the documentation itself. And the main purpose is for developers and as well for companies to deploy a single Kubernetes cluster very easily, just in a few steps. And hopefully in 20 minutes, you will see how I've deployed it, scaled out my control plane, and as well scaled out my worker nodes. This demo of KubeOne will be done on the Google Cloud platform. So I have done some prerequisites. So I just checked that I have a project on GCP and that I have a service account. So the corresponding account and project on GCP can be seen here on the left side. So if I'm looking on it, and if I have deleted everything, how I should do before, let me quickly have a look. So that's my GCP project, Kubematic. There's nothing running, which is good. So the first step before we're gonna use KubeOne to deploy a Kubernetes cluster is to prepare the environment. And to prepare the environment, and let me just do it in the background, is we are leveraging Terraform. So what you can see here is my GitHub project, which I cloned already. Let me just go to the right stage. KubeOne on GCE. As I'm using Terraform to deploy the infrastructure, so I've done a Terraform init, I've done a Terraform plan, and now it's just a Terraform appliance. So if we are now looking on my configuration file, let me have a look at it. Here is, so what, it is quite simple. It is more an abstraction. So what we're going to do with Terraform is, at this stage, we are planning to deploy a KubeOne cluster called K1 in my GCP project. I'm using, just as an example, region Europe West 4, which is, I guess, the Netherlands. And to show you how good and powerful KubeOne is, I'm just starting with a single control plane. And as well, the load balancer is just going into one system. To be able to use and leverage our infrastructure from any provider, we needed to find a solution how to communicate and to connect to the machine. So we are using, in this scenario, an SSH. This is just my SSH key, so there's no secret. And while in the background, and let's have a look here, the instances have deployed, and let us have a look on the corresponding GCP output. You see, I've just installed one machine on GCP. It is nothing else as a plain Ubuntu system. There should be as well, let me quickly have a look on the networking side. Give me 1 second. I don't see the right VPC network. I don't know why. It should be Europe West. What was it? I don't know. Let us have a look on the routes. The routes showing me always what I would like to see. Next page, as usual. Doesn't matter. Let us go back to the compute engine. So that's my machine. It is just a plain Ubuntu machine, and the next stage would be, in this scenario, to deploy KubeOne or using KubeOne to install it. So what KubeOne is doing, KubeOne is leveraging again this Terraform configuration file. It is connecting to my control plane. It is using, as in this scenario, it is Ubuntu. It is connecting, it is using up to get the needed package from upstream. So what we are doing here, we are deploying a vanilla Kubernetes. After the packages has been installed, which normally takes 2 to 3 minutes, KubeOne is going to configure the machines and make it ready that the control plane is up and running. And while, as it takes a few minutes here, let me go and show you on the presentation a little bit of a description what KubeOne is. So KubeOne is a tool for managing Kubernetes clusters. And the purpose of KubeOne is just, maybe someone is calling it just as me, but it is at the end a lot of stuff. It installs and provisions Kubernetes. It has the built-in feature to upgrade a Kubernetes cluster, to repair it, and from a developer perspective, what is as well quite important as well, to unprovisioning, to show the full cluster lifecycle here. It is open source and provider neutral. So I will show you as well later where you can find the documentation and how you can get it. But important for use, you can start with it. It's open source. It is just the Apache 2 license behind it, and it works on all your environments. So it can run on your cloud, on your on-premise, edge, and IoT environments, and it supports all upstream supported Kubernetes versions. So the actual one and the last 2 of it. So the question is now why we have built KubeOne and we have open sourced it. So Kubernetes brought us a new way for managing our workload. But what we have seen is managing Kubernetes clusters is still a quite hard task. So what we wanted to do is we want to apply lessons learned managing workloads to clusters. And one important thing, which is from our side, a very important theme is we want to manage clusters in a declarative ways and not just providing scripts. So KubeOne itself is more in the past a helper tool from Kubermatic perspective. So as our big solution is built up as already containerized solution to manage Kubernetes clusters at scale, we needed to find something like a master cluster where our software will be installed. And as we have done it a lot of times, and we don't want to use scripts or reinvent the wheel, or would like to have something which is not standardized and not open sourced, we just decided to build KubeOne. It is one of our products, but as well on the same time to leverage the community, we open source it and everyone can just use it. Before I'm going to the features, so what we have done so far is we have deployed now the infrastructure with Terraform. We have installed our software with KubeOne. So let us have a look what has been installed. So I'm just leveraging, again, just a KubeOne command, status, looking on the configuration. And what we have deployed so far is our control plane. I'm just used by purpose an outdated version because KubeOne has as well the ability to upgrade a Kubernetes cluster. So we have deployed an API server, which is healthy, and as well our etcd is as well in a healthy state. So KubeOne itself is using the implementation of the cluster API and the mechanisms of the cluster API. So for the worker nodes, to manage them, we are always deploying a machine deployment, which is currently just one replica. But the machine deployment is consisting as well of a machine set, where at the end, there's our instance of the worker node, which will be deployed in the background, which is called SQJNS. Let us have a look again on the corresponding GCP console. Here we go. So here's our control plane. Here's our worker node. Everything is up and ready. And everyone can just start it with it. So we have the KubeOne config here. Let us have a look on the KubeOne config. The only thing what it is doing is it has the link to our API. So this has been as well exposed through a load balancer, a user, and the context of it. It is a good start, and it is already a Kubernetes cluster which can be used. Not really helpful, I would say so, as the control plane is not in HA mode, and we have just one worker node. So the next step, what we would do is we would enable HA. So this is going to be in the background. How easy it is it is just looking again on our Terraform TF-WART file. So it's reading it. I have just adjusted it just with an SED, quite simple, to change the control plane count from 1 to 3. So again, it is taking Terraform. And with Terraform, when I'm now reloading it, what you can see here now is it's already deployed 2 new instances on GCP. The next step is that KubeOne is again leveraging SSH to connect to these 2 machines. Don't be confused that the first 2 times we are getting an error because it needs some time by GCP to spin up the instances. And now it's connecting again. It is installing the software just from the Kubernetes repositories via apt. It is configuring them and installing them. So while this takes, again, 2 to 3 minutes, let me go back to the presentation. So from a feature set, as mentioned before, open source and provider neutral. So that means here KubeOne can be used on public cloud, on-premise, and bare metal. And the scope of KubeOne is to be responsible and support you in the full Kubernetes cluster lifecycle, starting from installation, what you can see here, upgrade, which can be found in the documentation, repair, what should not happen but can happen, and as well at the end, unprovisioning, what I will show as well at the end. KubeOne supports various nodes operating systems. You can either use Ubuntu, how I'm using it in my demo here. You can use CentOS, RHEL. SUSE is not mentioned here, but can used as well, and as well CoreOS and Flatcar. It supports all upstream supported Kubernetes versions, and it is using, as you can have seen as well, a declarative cluster declaration, which brings reproducibility. This is quite important from a developer perspective because you would like to use always the same kind of cluster, the same end state, and this, in this scenario with KubeOne, gives you as well the ability to do it on GCP, on Azure, on AWS, or on OpenStack on your on-prem environment. It automates the worker provisioning. So as you have seen, one worker node is already deployed, and I will show you as well with the help of the cluster API and the machine controller how to scale from one worker node to 3 worker nodes. It is easy to use and as well compatible with KubeADM because it is just using a KubeADM. So we stick on upstream, and we are trying to use as much from upstream as possible. It can optionally read Ansible and Terraform states and continues from it. And we have as well batteries included. So if you are deploying KubeOne, how I'm doing it here, it has already a metric server included, OpenID Connect. You can leverage and use pod security policies for your Kubernetes clusters, dynamic audit backends. It has the ability to use custom add-ons, and with the latest version, which has been released during the KubeCon, where we are quite proud of it has already the cluster autoscaler included, which can be used and is as well designed and worked as well for on-premise. It supports as well an SSH jump host, and it can be used as well in environments with a connection via a proxy. From a supported provider perspective, as mentioned, KubeOne is supposed to work on any provider and infrastructure, and from a developer perspective as well, which is important, not only public cloud, it is as well supporting on-prem environments and bare metal machines. Officially supported providers enjoy additional features, which be here support for managing worker nodes using Kubematic, the machine controller. Kubematic machine controller is not a custom code, it is open source, and it's just leveraging the cluster API. And we know that from the community, if there are some points which are not fully defined, we are adding some features into the machine controller. It automatically deploys cloud provider specific features like an external CCM. And it has an integration with infrastructure tooling such as Terraform. Officially supported public and private cloud providers are AWS, Azure, GCE, what I'm using here, DigitalOcean, Hetzner. For on-prem, you can use Packet, OpenStack, and VMware vSphere, and more will follow as well. So we are quite proud that we have added as well new providers. You can check it on every time on our GitHub. So when I'm looking now where we are, just with the HA and with the configuration of the 2 additional control nodes, they should be nearly up. So the first one is already up. Let us have a look if the third control plane components is coming up. Normally, we are just waiting around 15 seconds. That has been done. So we are already downloading the kubeconfig. We are applying as usual because we are trying to use it in a decorative way. Again, the CNI plugin, we are installing the machine controller. If we are now looking on GCP again, what you can already see is we have the 3 instances. And the 3 instances are already integrated into the load balancer, where you can use this load balancer configuration to connect to our control plane in HA mode. Let us have a look how that looks like from a demo perspective. So let me check the status. So it's connecting via SSH. So what you can see here as well already is we have our 3 control planes. So the first one was deployed 11 minutes ago. The other ones, just from GCP perspective, 4.5 minutes, 3.5 minutes ago. That took the time to install the software. From a machine deployment perspective, we are still at the same stage. 1 worker node, and this is the worker node here. It is ready, so you can schedule workload on it. But the beauty of KubeOne here is that we have as well the ability to use this machine deployment mechanism to scale it out. How to scale it out? It is just one simple KubeOne command, kubectl command. What you can see here is it is kubectl. It's getting the machine deployment. Oh, the scale out is here. I'm really sorry. Let me just go a little bit up. Where is it? Here we go. It is kubectl. It is scale the machine deployment of our defined pool and going from 1 replica, so for 1 worker node, to 3 replicas. If we are now looking again on GCP, you see the 2 additional machines has been brought up by Terraform. So if we are doing the status again, I look on where we are. So we have our 2 machines in the machine set. So replicas 3. As the software is currently being installed, there's actually just 1 replica available. So again, that takes 2 to 3 minutes in the background, but this gives me as well the time to finish what I would like to show. And this is mostly is how to get KubeOne and how to use KubeOne. So we have an installation script, how you can get it. It is just 1 binary, so you can just get it either via curl by get.kubeone.io. If you're preferring to get it with Go, it is just go get. It's connecting to our GitHub repo, which I can show you here as well. Here it is. It's KubeOne. It's as well giving you the link to the documentation. And everything what I'm doing here is as well in the documentation. You can, as well as mentioned before, downloading it directly from GitHub. For the friends of Arch Linux, you can get it as well from the Arch Linux repositories. It is just pacman -S KubeOne. The recommended version is on GitHub, and this is actually the version 1.1. And the docs for this release can be found on docs.kubermatic.com/KubeOne. If we are having a look at it. So the documentation itself is describing as well what is KubeOne. A short overview about the features, what I mentioned. It gives you a short information as well about how to configure the credentials. So it's described with AWS. It is with GCP. I think nothing really important. So these are the commands which I've done at the prerequisites. It's describing how the infrastructure is being deployed. So with the Terraform configuration, which I'm using, how the provisioning works. So it's for GCE, it's just showing, and I guess it's even the same version, what I'm using, is what should be deployed, where it should be deployed. KubeOne provisioning the cluster is just with KubeOne apply. It is using 1 special configuration file with input from Terraform. I think this is nothing really surprising or nothing new. We have a section as well, which is describing how to manage the worker nodes. So we have either the way of using Kubermatic Machine Controller, or for the bare metal case, how to use static nodes for bare metal machines. The upgrading mechanism is as well described here. And last step would be the unprovisioning. So let us have a quick look at it, what the status is. So I hope the 2 additional worker nodes has been deployed. Let us have a look. Here we go. So we have the 2 worker nodes. They are in state ready and can be used to schedule workload on it. The other way around, if you are just testing and have done a scale-out test, the other thing what you would like to do, because for development purposes, it costs for sure money, I guess, on GCP. The cost for this demo would be around €1.50 or maybe €2. I'm not so sure, as you can scale in as well. So scale in is, again, one command. It is kubectl, going from the replica point of view from current 3 replicas to 1 back, corresponding GCP console. Let us have a look. So the 2 machines, 2 of the 3 worker nodes are going down. Again, this will take some time. Let us have a look on the status. So from a status perspective, they are already disabled in the scheduling, and Terraform is now telling via the GCP API to deploy or to unprovisioning them. Short point here from Kubematic perspective. So we have 2 products, both are open source. There's KubeOne and Kubematic, and as you have seen, KubeOne, the scope is clearly to have the deployment and the cluster lifecycle of 1 cluster. Let us call it best friend of KubeOne. If you have the need for a multi-cloud setup, we have as well Kubematic. So that's a tool which supports the management of Kubernetes clusters up to 100s of clusters. KubeOne, as you have seen here, is the control plane is machine-based. So in this scenario on GCP, on GCE, it is machine-based. For Kubematic, we are able to deploy for user clusters the control plane containerized. Self-healing is mostly done on KubeOne just with a command line. Kubematic itself is fully leveraging a fully automatic self-healing. KubeOne, for the guys which likes command line, is the right tool. KubeOne uses the command line, where Kubematic, as the big brother, let's call it this way, is using an UI and REST API. And we have some additional enterprise features for the bigger scale out of Kubematic. This can be used as well in KubeOne, but needs to be configured. So Kubematic itself has automatically included user management, automatic backup with Velero. It has as well not just the metric server, it is deploying as well in the separated namespace Prometheus, Grafana, and Loki, and has the ability to have service accounts integrated for CI/CD systems. Let us quickly have a look how my environment looks like from a cluster lifecycle management perspective. It should be scaled down. Let us have a look. Here we go again. So we have just 1 worker node. That means as well from GCP perspective, if I'm reloading my console, one node left. And the last step in this scenario would be as well to unprovisioning. Don't be confused about my kill command. So kill at the end in my wrapper script is just using KubeOne to reset the environment. And at the end, with Terraform to destroy the infrastructure. So that means after this has been done in the background, all machines on GCP should be gone, the networks should be deleted, and as well the roots. As you may know, Terraform as well, sometimes there's some kind of a timing issue. So routes cannot be deleted because the network is still in use or something like this. That can happen. Then you would just need to use the gcloud command and delete the routes and delete the network. And just from, as I'm using the cluster lifecycle for my demo as well, this is ending up my demo just with a view on how easy it is to deploy a Kubernetes cluster, to scale in, to scale out, or other way around, to scale out and then to scale in. And at the end, to delete the Kubernetes cluster, to give you, from a developer point of view, how easy it is to use Kubernetes and a Kubernetes cluster in deploying and destroying it in around 20-25 minutes, I guess so. And that would be my demo. Any questions?
First of all, thanks so much. Pretty amazing, everything that you can do with this. Yeah, we got a couple of questions. So maybe they are all kind of in the same bucket, but I will ask them one after the other. How is it different from EKS-CTL? Do you know that the EKS-CTL is, I guess it's a command line tool where you can create clusters in EKS. So it's only, I think it only works for EKS, but yeah. EKS-CTL or EKS-CUTL is an open source tool to manage clusters in EKS. Can you comment on this?
Yeah, so the main difference, and it's mostly here in the scenario, it is completely provider neutral. So that means you can use KubeOne to deploy a Kubernetes cluster on-premise, on public clouds. And this is a little bit special. So we are not leveraging the managed Kubernetes distributions on public clouds like Google Kubernetes on Google Cloud, EKS on Amazon. We are just leveraging the infrastructure, so just the instances, and then we are deploying a vanilla Kubernetes on the public cloud that you have everywhere the same Kubernetes, and as well always the upstream version, that you are not being catched by any kind of vendor login or special versions by the cloud provider. Vendor neutral, I would describe it this way.
Okay, thanks. Then actually, I would have a question. Is it possible to kind of move from, or do a hybrid scenario and then move from one cloud to the other? So if I have my workloads running right now on let's say on Google, and I want to move to Azure, Microsoft, is it possible with KubeOne to move my workloads and to move my clusters from one cloud to the other if I've done the initial setup with KubeOne?
There's no migration. So the thing is, how would you do it? You would just use the same exact configuration on your cloud number one. As it is stored in a declarative way, you would then just take the configuration, adjust it, I don't know, changing it from GCP to Azure, and then deploy a second cluster. And then from a workload perspective, it really depends how you are deploying your workload. So what we would propose is always using service accounts. So if you would have an Argo CD, which you are using to deploy your workload on Kubernetes, then you would just give it a new target, and then it should run exactly the same way as the Kubernetes cluster is configured in the exact same way. It is just leveraging a different infrastructure in the back end. But as mentioned, KubeOne is just for deploying and for the managing of Kubernetes, and not on from the workload perspective.
Got it.
Malte, you mentioned a couple of times regarding repairs. What type of issues KubeOne can repair in a cluster?
So if one of the control node gets corrupted for any reason, it has the ability as well to deploy a second one. If there are problems with etcd, it is possible to remove one etcd node and install a second one. So this would be the main cases. But if I have a look at it, let me have a look on maintenance. So we have a manual cluster repair and a manual cluster recovery. So what we are covering here, let me quickly have a look at it, is covering the etcd stuff. It is able to create a fresh instance for the replacement. Yeah, it is just for the sake that one of the nodes is getting unresponsive or something like this. So that means as well, we are clearly recommending as well to always enable the SH option, that you have at least always 3 or more nodes for the control plane.
Mm-hmm. And would that repair occur automatically whenever a node goes like not ready or something for some time? Or should I do trigger manually or do some integration on my end?
So everything about the repair stuff is always focusing on the worker nodes. So if one worker node goes down or something like this, it already checks it and it will deploy a new worker node. But for the control node, you need to manually have a look at it and manually repair or recover it, as long as you don't have a backup mechanism behind it and some kind of automation. So that's not covered by the tool. If you would like to have a fully controlled self-healing capability for the control plane, then you would go for the other project offers.
Cool. Nice.
So, as mentioned, the scope of it is to have an easy startup phase. If you would like to start with Kubernetes for your first Kubernetes cluster, then it would be the right tool. But that means as well as it is just a binary which is leveraging some APIs, it has its limitations.
Awesome.
Cool. Yeah, pretty cool. I'm just watching if there are any more questions coming in. Right now, I don't see any more questions. So I guess we're a little bit ahead of time, but I think that's not a big of a deal. So with this, if there are more questions, please post them in the comment section or on Discord, and we will be happy to forward them. But with this, I'm already handing over to Juliana and Yuri for the second talk. And here we go. Screen sharing is enabled. And please share us some tips and tricks how to prepare and get it done, all these Kubernetes certifications we have to do.
Cool. Cool. Thanks, Jürgen. Thanks, Malte, for the first talk. Well, let's talk about Kubernetes certification. You can see here on the slides on the right-hand side, the brand new released Kubernetes security specialist. It was announced last week during KubeCon North America. And yeah, we decided to include that in the slides as well. So first of all, who we are, or who are we? I'm Juliano. I'm from Brazil. I'm a software engineer at Dynatrace. At the moment, I have my CKA. I took it in February this year. Yeah, by the time I was working as a consultant here at Dynatrace as well, and I had a customer that was working with Kubernetes. Then I started to discuss the tech with him, and I got into it, and I said, that's a super cool thing to study. And then I started to study during my free time. I really enjoyed. Then I got into Cloud Native, reached out to Jürgen and said, hey, Jürgen, let's create a meetup here in Linz because we don't have a CNCF meetup here. And that's how we started the group. 4 months ago, but 3 events ago. And yeah, for when the idea of presenting Kubernetes certification came up by Jürgen, I said, well, I have a nice friend that it would be nice to invite, and that's Yuri. Yuri, do you want to present yourself? You are on mute.
Thank you, Juliano, for the amazing opportunity to talk about this Kubernetes certification, Kubernetes in general topics. And thank you, Jürgen, to organize this incredible meetup. Thank you, Malte, for your awesome presentation about KubeOne. And so let me introduce myself. I'm a cloud engineer currently working at Douglas. We manage our e-commerce in Europe, and that we have some e-commerce spread of the complete Europe. And during this year, I passed on both exams, CKA and CKAG, and I'm studying and I'm preparing myself to take this new one, this CKS, that will be more focus, put more focus in the security topics. And that's it. Let's talk about a little bit about Kubernetes certifications, and I hope that we can give for our presenters here and our colleagues to the community, present some real reasons to take the Kubernetes certifications. Please, go back to one slide. Feel free to contact me through this LinkedIn or Twitter. I'm a pleasure to answer some question and to be connected with you. Okay.
The same works for me.
Yes.
Just a nice information regarding Yuri. I was discussing with him regarding CKA by the time that I took mine, and he took CKA and CKD in 2 weeks of difference from one to another, and that's one of the tips that we're gonna give later on in this talk. But yeah, it was only 2 weeks from one to another.
Yeah, but please don't say that because it's too hard to prepare for it. So guys, let's start trying to respond one big question: why? We will take a look about to try to as I said, to try to respond this why and decide which one certification that we have or that we would like to take it. CKG, more focusing development process of containers of our Kubernetes. Spread the Kubernetes operators, the CKA that more focus in the administrator or cluster. Even if you are running Kubernetes on some cloud vendors or on premises, and the new one CKS that I'm very excited to take this exam. And Juliano, prepare amazing hands-on to give you some tips and tricks to make your life easier. During this exam, of course.
Just careful with the expectations. Amazing hands-on. I don't know, but let's go.
So guys, as you can see in this, for me, I think it's awesome image, containers everywhere. So we have currently, it's I guess this is well-known information. We have containers everywhere. Such a company doesn't matter if this company is a smaller one or the bigger one, but the companies almost trying to deploy those applications or your applications into the Kubernetes clusters. And as you can see in the first survey, I guess last week there was a new release survey from CNCF. And for example, let's take a look on the dashboard that presents containers, that cluster that put containers more than 5,000 containers. We can see a real increase from 2019 to 2020 from 3%. It's a real very interesting topic because so if we have these big clusters with more 5,000 containers, then yeah, for me, in my personal opinion, it's a real reason or to take the exam or to prepare a little bit more to take the certification or to know a little bit more about Kubernetes. Nah? And we can confirm this, go back to the first one, Juliana, please. And you can confirm this topic when we take a look at the containers or at the cluster that runs less than 50 containers. This we can realize a decrease from 18% to 16%. So guys, the environment in set of companies is increasing step by step, year by year. Okay. So guys, this is one first reason that I think it's a big one to observe. Then this amazing dashboard from CNCF survey present us the most cluster or the most environment that companies like Douglas or like other companies use. Proof of concept, development, test, and production. So, and yeah, for example, let's take a look on production. This number is quite small, but I can read for you. Yeah, we realize an increase for 6% on the production. And guys, look, production is increasing as the size of clusters. So year by year, step by step. So the cluster size is increasing, and the environment using containers is increasing as well. So the next one, the next dashboard, for example, keeping an eye in the previous presentation from Malte, KubeOne, we can see here set of different Kubernetes environments. As I said in the beginning of our presentation, doesn't matter if you are running your Kubernetes cluster on premises or some kind of cloud vendors, AWS, GCP, or Azure. And for example, in all premises, we can see a real increase because, for example, in Brazil, I come from Brazil, and it's a little bit difficult to deploy or to migrate the current environment to cloud, to deploy our environment in the cloud. And look, on the on-premises Kubernetes, we realize a real increase for 8%. And for example, Brazil, I guess Brazil is part of this number. And in the cloud provider, for example, I'm quite involved, since I guess 2016 or 17. I'm quite involved in the migrations from on-premises environment to the cloud native applications or cloud environment, and realize 3% of increase in the Kubernetes usage or Kubernetes migration. Thanks CNCF to answer some questions, to give us some real reasons to invest our time learning Kubernetes a little bit more. Next one. So yeah, as I said, in short, just to align with our mates here, our community, we have, it's well known, contain everywhere. We realize the real increase on the containers usage in production. This is a very important, because some guys can ask me, okay, Yuri, but Kubernetes is not the answer for every question. Okay, I agree with it, But when we realize a real increase on the production environment, then, guys, that it's a real interesting point that we have to take a look. And yeah, as Malte presented us, and I can inform, I can say that quite calm, that doesn't matter where you are deploying your container, your pod, your microservices, but most likely Kubernetes involved, because Kubernetes step by step is gaining more place and gain more experiences, gain more features to help us in our deployments. Doesn't matter if you are a developer, you are a system administrator, you are a cloud administrator. You can find on Kubernetes some kind of tools that you help you daily. So I guess I presented some reasons, and please, tell me if you have some further questions about this CNCLinz survey. Basically, I presented some real data from this new survey, but I'm very interested to discuss about the reasons to implement Kubernetes, and of course, the main subject of our presentation here is provide you reasons to take the Kubernetes certifications. Okay.
Cool, Yuri. Yeah. So basically, just getting a hook in this last topic that Yuri brought to us. So if you are deploying a container, most likely you are deploying it on Kubernetes, even if you don't know, like there are a lot of cloud providers that run Kubernetes in some type of environment that you don't know that they are running Kubernetes, but they are. And it is really good to understand what is going on your deployment. So if you are deploying a container, it is really good to understand where your container is running and all the things that that are available to you to use or to configure, things that you can do. And that's where the certification came, at least for me. So in my case, I took the certification to understand better about Kubernetes and all the little pieces of it and how everything come together. And yeah, so basically it. So that brings us to which one. So we have shown that we have three main, not main, but three certifications at the moment: the application developer, the CKAD, the administrator, CKA, and the CKS, the newly released one, the security specialist. And I brought them all together in the same slide because I wanted to share the first tip is that let's not consider the CKS at the moment, because you need CKA to take the CKS. But let's take the entry ones. So CKAD and CKA. Most probably, if you are studying for one of them, you are also studying for the other one. So if you are really putting effort in studying and learning about learning about Kubernetes and everything, most probably the difference between one exam or the other will be minor. By the time that I took the exam, CKA was 3 hours and CKAD was 2 hours. By now, all of the exams are 2 hours, so they changed it a little bit, and so not even the time is changing at the moment. So for instance, here we can see configuration in the CKAD 18%, but we can also see configuration here in the CKA. Also, service and networking, 13% here in the CKA, and service and networking, 20% here on the CKA. So basically, you see that there are some topics that you have on both exams, and if you are preparing yourself for one, just go for it.
Yeah, sure. And basically now I guess the next topic that you present us, the Kubernetes architecture, no?
Yeah, exactly. So for any of those exams, you actually need to understand a little bit about the Kubernetes architecture. So of course, if you are taking the application developer, you don't need to know each and every component as deep as you need for the CKA, but it's good to understand all the components because you are deploying on top of it. So it's really important to know the API server, the etcd, and what is running on the worker nodes and everything, because that's basically where your container is gonna run, or your pod is gonna run. And yeah, so that's why I brought this image to the slides. When I add something,
I see. I think that it's amazing because you have modified a little bit, including this container runtime, this kubelet, this container inside the pod, presenting that we can for the Kubernetes learners or beginners, we have the possibility to have more than one container inside that one pod. And it's amazing because you, in short, you have in one image all parts of the Kubernetes.
Cool. And that brings us to the hands-on part. So
that's great.
Let's get our hands dirty. For start, I'm gonna start with a small tip, but really useful. And let me go to kubernetes.io. Basically, during the exam, you can access this page and you can access the documentation. So you're gonna have a terminal where the exam will be, where you're gonna do the commands of the exam. If you don't know yet, the Kubernetes certification is a hands-on exam. So you are allowed to open an extra tab, so just one. So first tip: add an extension in Google Chrome that blocks you to open an extra tab, more than one. So you are only working with 2 tabs, because if you open more than one, most probably the proctor will interrupt you and ask you to close it and everything, and that may interrupt your what you are thinking. So just install a quick plugin that limits the number of tabs. Simple tip. Cool. Then the second one, and I think that was one of the that helped me a lot. You are able to use the documentation. So the first tip is get familiar with the documentation, but not just get familiar with it. For instance, let's say that you are that you would like to, during the exam, you would like to check something regarding services and secrets. And then you come here to the Kubernetes IO documentation and then type secrets. And then you get the result and you go to the page, and then you have to scroll to the part that you have anything that is valuable. For instance, well, how to use the secret in my pod, for instance. Then you editing a secret, using secrets, perfect. Then I have it here. So as you could see, I spent a little bit of time trying to find what I need. So what you can do is, here you have this anchor, simply get this link and add to your bookmark it. So now I have, for instance, here secrets, and if I click secrets, then I'm directly in the part that I need. So most probably during your study, you will see that there are some parts of some process that you are always missing some parameters that you are skipping, things that are a little bit more tricky for you, bookmark those and give a name that you remember. For instance, a secret, a name that is significant for you, and then use it. So whenever I got a question related to secret in the exam, I knew that I had a bookmark that I could come, click, and bam, I already have the definition here, and I have the information that I need. You are allowed
guys,
to.
just yes,
Yeah,
just to complete this Julian information, it's very interesting topics and tip regarding this bookmark, because we have only 2 hours to take our exam. Then our, don't say enemy, but we have to be aware of the time, because 2 hours is really, really fast. Then we have to be aware. If we have some kind of difficult during the exam, then this bookmark is definitely a good idea to save our time.
Indeed. So perfect. So that finishes our first tip, or second. Then let's jump to command line. So basically, you have to be familiar with kubectl or kubectl or kubecontrol, whatever you want to call. But yeah, be familiar with it. There is a lot of people talking on the internet about alias. So create alias to make your life easier. My personal tip is, if you are familiar with alias and you are use it to use it, then go for it. But in my case, I was already working with kubectl for a while, and I didn't get any trouble typing kubectl every time.
You are more confident to type kubectl entirely instead of just put alias and key, for example.
Yeah, exactly. So people use alias for kubectl as k, and then you don't need to type kubectl. As Yuri mentioned, the time is against us. So if you're comfortable with it, definitely use it. But if you don't mind, just type kubectl. I did without the alias, and the time was enough. Well, use the autocompletion. Most probably, you will get the autocompletion enabled during the exam. But if not, you can also bookmark it on your bookmarks, the auto-completion part. And then here in the Kubernetes documentation, you have the steps to enable the kubectl completion. What happened with me during my exam is that during the exam, I don't know what happened. After a couple of hours, I lost the auto-completion, and then I had to enable it again. So it was good that I had the auto-completion here. I didn't know that if it would be enabled or not. And I said, okay, well, that is maybe a good page to have. And yeah, it helped.
Yeah, and we are unable, and we are, sorry, I lost my audio.
No, you're there.
Okay. So and it's we are able to enable the autocomplete again, because it's directly in the Kubernetes documentation. We are not able to search in Google or to search in further site, how can I enable this autocompletion? No? But if there is this tip in the Kubernetes documentation, then guys, we are able to take that.
Cool. You may have during your exam different contexts depending on the on the question that are working. So make sure you are using the right context of your question. Just a a simple tip. Make sure you are running in the right context. Okay, so let's take a look into some kubectl commands that may help you. So you have kubectl create, and during the exam, maybe you forgot something, or you are thinking about, hey, what are the parameters that I can pass by create? What resources I can create with create? And instead of going to the documentation, what you can do is kubectl create -h, and then you have the help of that. And what is super nice is that besides of all the options that you have, so basically here at the bottom you have all the parameters that you can pass. Besides that, that's already helpful. On the top, you have examples, and that will really help you a lot during the exam. So here you are creating a pod using a JSON file. You are creating a pod based on the JSON passed into the stdin, or you are creating based on a YAML file and editing. What is that? Okay, well, that's that's a comment that you can do. And let's say that you want to create a deployment, for instance, and that's another tip. Pay attention on the exam. You may be asked to create deployments or pods, and that is important for the result of your exercise. So make sure you are creating the right resource. If they ask for a deployment, create a deployment. If they ask for a pod, create a pod. And okay, so let's take a look into the create deployment and -h. And again, here I'll have an example. And in this example, I'm creating a BusyBox pod with the name MyDepth. So I can get this command and simply run it. So let's say, oops, sorry. Let's say that you are on the exercise and you have an exercise. Hey, create a deployment, name it my deployment with a simple nginx version 123. Then you can get this command. Just another thing, during the exam, you are not able to Control-C, Control-V. That doesn't work. So you need to be familiar with Control-Insert to copy and Shift-Insert to paste. In my case, it doesn't work, but Shift-Insert to paste. And then you can simply come here and change whatever you need and create your deployment. Cool, deployment created. Cool. That is creating a deployment, a simple deployment, just passing the name. But let's say that you need to, for instance, the first example that I gave, let's say that you need to add a secret into your pod or into your deployment. So don't waste time creating everything from scratch. We have a couple of different ways of doing. The one that I'm most familiar is the create, and then we run the dry run. Now we need to add the client. So --dry run equals client and -o YAML. That will give us the YAML file, and basically we have the YAML file here, but what it can do is point that to a file. So my nginx.yaml, and then you have the file here. You just vi to it, my nginx, and then you come and edit whatever you need. For instance, I go back to my documentation and I have here the volume, or the volume in the to use a secret, and I can get this and add here. Yeah, that may happen during the exam as well. So there is text editor on the top. Well, it's not a text editor, it's like a notepad or something that you can use to paste, or it didn't work for me, so it didn't work well for me, so I basically copy and paste manually. But perfect. And then once you have the file, then you can kubectl apply -f and apply your file. So that's way easier than creating everything from scratch.
Yeah.
And will save you a lot of time.
Sure, definitely.
Okay, that brings us to another tip. That is, use the resources that are already running on the cluster. So for instance, here I have a cluster that is deployed in kind. So if I do a kubectl get nodes, just to show, I have my control plane and 2 worker nodes. And if I do a kubectl get pods -a to get all namespaces, I'll get those pods that are already running. And let's take a look into this card NES here. So kubectl get pod -n for namespace kubesystem.
Just to complete your information, Juliano, about this -A, because this -A was released, I guess, in the Kubernetes 18, 1.18, I guess. If I'm not wrong, get me not wrong. And the old versions for Kubernetes, probably we have to use the -- all namespaces. But yeah, since we can use this capital A, it's easier.
Yeah, that saves a lot of time. During my exam, I did in February, I did in the 1.17 version, and I didn't have the -A. So all my kubectl get pods -- all namespaces. And yeah, that saved a lot of time.
Sure.
So taking a look into the card DNS here, just as an example, you can get into the context that you are and see the resources that are running in that context, and then try to check it to try your luck. But let's take a look into the things that we have configured already in our card DNS. And here we can see tolerations. So if you are asked to create a pod with toleration, you may come here and just use this that we already have. Or if you need to create a mount volume, then you already have here. If you need to apply a security context, resources. So as you can see, readiness probe, if you need to configure different ports or whatever you don't need, you are not remembering during the time of the exam, you can simply give a get -o YAML, and that will print the YAML file of that resource, and you are good to go. For instance, here a liveness probe. So basically, all that configuration is already there running on the cluster, so you can use it to help you out and make your life way easier. And with that, just as I'm already showing the pods, here we see that we have a couple of pods, and they are a little bit different, and you need to know that mainly, well, Yeah, well, you need to know the difference between them. So you see here that usually we have a pod and a hash in front of it. And we have some pods that we have the name of the pod and where this pod is running. So that's called static pod. And you need to be aware of how those static pods are created. Most probably, if you are studying for the certification, you know, but make sure you remember during the exam. So take a closer look again and again, because for instance, here we have etcd, the API server, the controller manager, and the scheduler. So during the troubleshoot phase, if you have an issue with any of those pods, you may need to solve. And for instance, for my Nginx, I can use kubectl edit pod, deployment, Nginx. It's not a deployment.
No, you are presenting the pods, but by the way, edit pods, edit pods, and the pod name.
Yeah, but I want to show the kubectl edit.
Okay.
Deployment. My Nginx. Okay, perfect. So for instance, if you need to change a deployment, you can use the kubectl edit and change it. So if I run this command, I have it here. I can come here and change, for instance, where is the, here I have the name, the namespace, and down here I have the container. So let's say that you need to change the image to one specific version. Then you can come here and change, and that will be applied. But that doesn't happen whenever we are talking about a static pod. So for a static pod, you need, let me just get into my master node. This command you don't need to know, but most probably you know. Where is here? Okay, so now I'm inside my control plane, my master node, and whenever you are creating a cluster, I'm not sure if you'll be. Well, yeah, I'm sure. Whenever you are creating a cluster, there is a parameter that you pass that configures where the static pod will be located. So if you run ps-aux, and if you grep the kubelet, then you have the start command. But if you want to highlight the better, just let me add another grep here, config. And cool, --config shows to me where my config YAML, the configuration is for my cluster. And if I go to this folder and get this file, so if I do a cat on var lib kubelet config, here at the bottom of the YAML file, I have the static pod path set. Basically, this is the default, but that is a config that you can change whenever you are creating your cluster. So make sure you know how to get there, how to get here to see where was the location of the static pod. And then if you cd into this folder,
this Ctrl-C, Ctrl-V is not working, huh? Like the exam. It's a real tip. I know. That's why I said that you presented amazing hands-on, huh?
I have to share with the audience that we have a saying in Brazil: "Do what I want, do what I say, but don't do what I do." So basically, if I go to this folder and if I list everything here, I have my etcd, my Kube API server, my controller manager, and my scheduler, and those are basically the static pods. Yeah, those are the static pods that I have. So etcd, API server, scheduler, and controller manager.
Right.
Cool.
And guys, just to explain a little bit more about the static pods, I guess Julian already told us, but look, if you want to change something in those static pods, then you just change those files into this etc Kubernetes manifests to reflect this change in the pods deploying the namespace kube system. Okay, please remember that, and please, if you want to change this path on the configuration of the cluster, it's possible to, but be aware of it. Okay.
Cool.
Just as advice, no? Because it's real important, and if you take a look on the documentation, it's a real important part to deploy properly the Kubernetes cluster.
1 second.
No problem.
Okay, I'm back. Yeah, perfect. So with that, let me see what else I have here. Redness and liveness probe. Yuri, would you like to
guys,
talk a little bit?
Yes, I'm as I said, I'm involved with many cloud migrations. I mean, from on-premises environment to cloud migrations, and we have to take care of the ingresses and egresses policies is very important. I mean, in the real life, I mean, the production environment, but on the certification as well. Because it's not a simple thing to do. We have to be aware of it. And the readiness and leadness probe, there are some tests that the pod tries to get the healthy status, and please be aware of that. The guys that want to take the CKAG is more focused on in those things, and please we have to be prepared in all topics, but my advice is prepare and take a little bit attention into those topics. Okay.
And I think the last tip is get it done, and by that I mean organize yourself, prepare yourself, but don't keep postponing, because then if you do, you will never get it done. So schedule it, put a goal, and simply focus on studying every day or every week, whatever you set to yourself as a goal, and then get it done by the time that you planned, because otherwise you will just keep postponing. And to help with that, I reached out to the guys from the CNCF, and I mentioned that we were presenting that to the community, and I got a discount voucher.
Yes.
So if you guys would like to buy the exam, there is one extra tip. take a note on this code, but don't use it yet. Wait till Friday, because this Friday is Black Friday. And last year, I bought my exam during the Black Friday sale that they had, and I got a 50% discount voucher. So,
but we can't promise that. That's
yeah,
just an assumption. Please take note that right now, because it's a very, very cheap. It's a really discount that it's not normal 20%. Because we can't promise that we will have some kind of promotions during the Black Friday or Cyber Monday. But yeah, who knows, no?
who knows exactly? Yeah, and also we would like to share here 2 resources.
More discount. Oh,
And more discounts.
it's amazing.
So I reached out Munsha Manambet. He's the responsible for one of the responsibles for Code Cloud, and that was the course that I took to prepare myself for the exam. And he has a subscription plan in his platform, and you can use the CNCLinz 30 to get 30% discount in the membership of the Code Cloud. It's really nice because he goes over all the topics of the certification really step by step, and then you have some hands-on exercises at the end of each topic, and there are some exam practices as well, so you can do you learn the topic, then you practice, and then at the end of learning everything, you practice the exam. Or if you are already using Kubernetes and you're already familiar with it and you would like just to practice the exam itself, there is a Killer SH. And I reached out the guys from Killer SH and I got a Cloud Links discount as well. So 20% discount in this. And in this one, it's nice because they are the only ones at the moment that have something related to CKS. So there is already a beta exam for the CKS, and if you are planning to take it, I would super recommend just go take the practice exam for the CKS, and yeah, that's it. Yuri?
Sure. Yes. No. Just this kind of information is awesome because look, 20% by CNCF and 30% of Code Cloud because Code Cloud it's really good environment to prepare, and the Killer. Hey, probably or securely I will use this 20% because I'm preparing for the CKS.
Guys, I didn't get any expire date for those coupons, but if you have any issues, just reach out to me because I have the contacts of both of the guys that gave me the discount, and I can take a look. This one for CNCF, I know that is valid till December of this year, or for the 1,500 first users. So
yes.
yeah.
Take a note.
Yeah. And with that, any questions?
First of all, thanks so much for presenting. I think it's really a lot of helpful tips and tricks. I got some questions. Actually, one was maybe already answered in your last slide because it was which training resources did you use to prepare?
Yep. Yeah, I used this one from Code Cloud. Actually, at Dynatrace, Dynatrace provides us a Udemy subscription. So I got the same course that they have at Code Cloud at Udemy, and I got it for free, thanks to Dynatrace. But I know that Yuri paid, and he paid in Udemy, right?
Yeah, I paid
So-
Udemy and Code Cloud, and I use it a private GCP environment that I have, but it's not common. But I guess Code Cloud is pretty enough to prepare our audience.
But it's not the same, right? Udemy and Code Cloud.
No, it's not the same. It's completely different. Udemy has an environment, a private environment for Udemy, some private course, some kind of different course, and Code Cloud has another one with some private labs and so on.
I think the videos are the same, right? From Moonshine.
In some kind of instructors, because if you are instructor, then you can tell, you can put your videos in both environments, but the environments are completely separated.
What I meant was, shut on a bit. 1 second, I can bring to the screen in a second. There you are. Okay. So I have this training here. So that's the Moonshine Manabet, the training that I took for the CKA, and with the practice tests. And those tests I ran in Code Cloud. So basically, what he did, he allowed all the students that are enrolled to that course to access Code Cloud. So I had access to the same course that I have in Code Cloud, but through Udemy. So that's a pretty good sale.
Price and sale,
yeah. If you guys would like, it's just $99. I don't know if the price of the subscription will be cheaper than that. So
I recommend that. I recommend as well.
Yeah.
Okay, but just to be clear, it's a completely different environment. But if you are instructor, then you are able to replicate some videos between each them.
Cool. We got another question. How much time to prepare for the exams?
It's a big depends because it's a big depends. It's not an easy question to answer because depends how big is your experience with Kubernetes. At least I would say that please prepare yourself, understanding firstly the Kubernetes architecture. Then when you are confident to answer some questions about it, then I guess please take care or invest 1 month or 2 months after that to prepare practicing through exams, to be confident with 2 hours to take a long exam, a not easy exam. Then after you are confident with the Kubernetes, then I guess you need 1 or 2 months to prepare for this exam specifically.
What I did, Jürgen, I went through all the topics that they have in the Udemy course, and for each topic, for instance, whenever he's discussing services, he explains the concept, and then there is a practice test that sometimes it takes 10 minutes, sometimes it takes 40. But whenever you hit play on the practice, you had like 1 hour to complete. So this temporary cluster is running for 1 hour for you. So what I did, I went through all the topics first, and then I went back and went through just the practice parts. So I didn't check the videos again. I just went and did solve the examples again. And to be honest, I don't know how long it took because I started studying. I started with a different course. Then I didn't like that much, and then I stopped. And a couple of months later, I got back to, and I found this course, and it was really nice, and I like it, so I took it and went through it. But if you are, in your case, for instance, that you are already working with Kubernetes constantly, right?
Yeah, right.
So, so basically, take the time to get familiar with the type of questions that you will have, and make sure you are comfortable playing with kubectl and with the VI or Vim. Is Vim available during the exam, Yuri? I used VI.
Yeah, I use it.
Yeah. So, for instance, in my case, it took me a lot of time as well because I had to be comfortable playing with VI, because that wasn't something that I was doing in my daily basis work. So I wasn't using Unix. I wasn't playing a lot with console. So I had to get all that to then go to the exam.
Yeah. I got it. Yeah. Yeah, but in resume, please be aware be aware of the Kubernetes topics. After that, I guess, depends how your method that you are using, how it's your free time, or how much effort you put on that. Then it's a big depends. But I mean, after you are confident on the Kubernetes, I guess, more or less 2 months, you can get done.
Cool. Yeah, thank you much for sharing all these very helpful tips and insights. I don't see any more questions. If there are more questions, please post them now. Also, thanks for getting all these discounts. I think that's pretty cool. We will make sure, also if we're allowed, that we will tweet it maybe in the next days. Yeah, with that, I want to thank again all the speakers. Thanks, Giuliano. Thanks, Yuri. Also, thanks, Malte. And thanks also the streaming sponsor for today. It was Kubematic. Thanks everyone for joining. It was actually the last meetup for this year. We won't have the meetup in December because it will be around Christmas and we wouldn't expect so many participants. So for this, we will skip the December edition and we will see each other in January.
Yeah, but we already have a couple of people with some interesting topics. So yeah, I'm already looking forward for January.
Me too. Yeah, again, if you want to also talk at our meetup, if you want to present your story, let us know. The links are in the slide deck, but it's basically CNC. Let me just grab it again, just to make sure to present this as well. Here you go. So it's on tinyurl.com CNCLinz-talk or CNCLinz-sponsor. Yeah, with that, thanks everyone, and have a great evening, and see you all again in January or on our Discord in the meantime.
Yeah. Thanks, Yuri. Thanks, Jürgen. And
thank you, Juliana. Thank you, Jürgen, for the amazing opportunity.
Yeah, thanks so much for joining.